Lately, I have been playing so much Baldur's Gate 3 in my free time that my wife has started making me do chores around the house in order to play more.
Please! Please! No!
But the jury's out on how effective that's really been, since I can romance out my favorite party members while also folding up my laundry.
Good boy.
But Baldur's Gate 3 has really become my second life lately, and I will find every excuse to play it. And my first impressions from seeing trailers for the game were, I don't think this is for me. But once I started seeing a little bit more of Larian's excellent marketing for the game, I was convinced that, okay, I can probably sacrifice $60 for this. And I'm glad I did, because I think this is a must-play for any RPG fan like me. And I'm not even too used to some of these more classic PC-style games, and as someone who plays a lot of JRPGs, this game completely surprised me from the jump. And if you like games like Mass Effect or other old BioWare games, you are going to love this game. And even from the character creation screen, I was spending more time than I ever had on creating my half-elf white dude, which is probably the equivalent to a white business major in college in terms of creativity. It also took a little bit longer to convince my wife to make her character as the Guardian in the game. And the opening cinematic got me pretty geared up for the game, but once I got control of my character, I was a little confused. I'm not used to playing these types of games or D&D rule sets in general, so I didn't really know what was going on. I don't play too many games on PC, so I was trying to use the keyboard and mouse, and it was a little rough at first. In those beginning hours, I was constantly switching between controllers and keyboard for different things that I was doing in the game. But ultimately, at this point, after about a month of playing, I'm basically an expert at playing this game on mouse and keyboard, and I rarely go back to the controller, even though I think the controller is a much more immersive option, and if you're picking this game up on PS5, I think you will still enjoy it immensely and have no troubles with the controls. But if you are still on the fence, I think keyboard is still probably better for the combat, as there's just so many options and it's a little bit easier to navigate on a PC. As for the combat in this game is not something I'm quite as familiar with, except for playing games like XCOM. And I also play a little bit of Fire Emblem. But one of the issues I do have with Baldur's Gate is, unlike XCOM or Fire Emblem, where it's really easy to start over when you have a bad encounter, this game kind of makes it a little bit, no, it makes it really hard to start over. You can lose probably like an hour's worth of progress, and you can't just easily start over. And the game makes that very apparent. And it's not as easy as just going right back into a chapter select section to start over the map. You have to go all the way back and maybe have all the same conversations with all the same dialogue options just to get back to that same encounter. And that is a little bit tedious, to the point where I've been using probably way too many quick saves, not to save scum, but just to make sure I don't waste any more extra time. I'm not a total loser, I'd never do that. And it's one thing for a lot of these other hard games like XCOM, or even like something like Elden Ring in the Souls series, where it's really easy to kind of get back into that encounter. This game makes it really difficult. There was one time when I died, I had to go back through the entire process of re-leveling all my characters and picking out all their skills over again. And that is very tedious and very annoying. And I kind of wish, maybe at the very least, I would hope that there's a mod that makes this a little bit easier to bypass. Unless I have just been missing something about this game and I'm a complete idiot. But moving forward, as I played through more of this game, a lot of those issues just kind of became second nature and I would move past it. And one thing I think that was really important to me enjoying this game is I played the Mass Effect series for the very first time a couple months before playing Baldur's Gate 3. And I think that was actually pretty crucial into me having a better experience playing this game, as this kind of experience was something I was really looking forward to. And by the time I got to the Druid Grove, I was fully invested in everything about this game, and I wanted to talk to every NPC and do every side quest that I could. And right now, I've played about 50 to 60 hours in the game, and I could wait probably to play more and do 100% of this game, which I might actually do. but that might take me another year, and at this point I really just want to talk about this game. I know there are people out there that have been playing this game for over like hundreds of hours already. That's not me, but you know, I'm trying my best. I'm going through this slowly because this game has truly become my second life. But that also means, you know, like just like real life, I'm going through it pretty slow. I'm going through it day by day. I haven't really done anything where I've spent an entire 12-hour period playing Baldur's Gate 3. Kind of like when I played Persona, I'm just going through it bit by bit, hour by hour, every chance I get, and just exploring a new little portion or doing a new little side quest. And just enjoying my time with the world and exploring every inch that I can. And I think I probably did every single thing in Act 1. I don't know about Act 2, but pretty much everything in Act 1. And it is an understatement to say this game has a lot of content, because I can't remember last time I've spent just so much time exploring and talking to people in a video game. Nothing else this year has even come close to giving me that experience. And Act 1 was truly a great experience, and I pretty much didn't have any bugs or any issues with anything going on. Personally, I think Act 1 itself is basically a 10 out of 10. It's a perfect beginning for a video game. Once I got into Act 2, that's where some of the bugs and little quirkinesses started to appear. I had quite a few issues with like just getting to my camp or talking to people, or quest markers just appearing and never disappearing even though I did something that I was already supposed to, unless I really did miss something. But as far as I know, there's nothing else I can do, and this quest marker in the Last Light Inn is just still stuck there for some reason. But as of recording this, there have been 2 patches out for this game on PC, and those 2 patches have pretty much cleared up most of those bugs, except for that quest marker. That thing is still there. I don't get it. If you know why that thing is still there, please let me know. I also don't think when I got into Act 2, I was ready for the vibe shift, because I'm playing a Dark Urge playthrough, and I don't think I realized the ramifications of what that could mean when I first started. Personally, for the Dark Urge, I do kind of think that Larian should have said, don't play this on your first playthrough. I don't remember ever seeing that in the character selection screen. They just let you do whatever you want. I know I've heard people say they told you on social media or before the game ever came out not to do that, but not everyone, like me, saw that. So I thought, well, you know, I'd like to play a dark playthrough or something a little bit more gritty for my first playthrough. And I was not ready at all for what was to come, especially in Act 2. Things got way darker than I have ever gone for a video game. I'm always a goody two-shoes, and I wanted to be a little bit more of a morally gray, kind of maybe, you know, kill people when I feel like it's right. But I didn't want to just murder everyone. And spoiler alert, but Act 2 basically forces you to do a lot of things that if you wanted to be morally gray or fight the Dark Urge, it really disincentivizes you from actually doing that. If you want to play the Dark Urge, you need to be ready to go full Sith Lord on this game. You need to be ready for genocide, murdering friends, murdering basically anything that doesn't agree with you, like an American politician. And some Dark Urge scenarios were just crazy to me. Like spoilers for about mid-section of Act 2. But when your demon butler boy comes in and he's like, "Master, you have not killed enough." And I'm like, bitch, I slaughtered the entire Last Light Inn. What do you mean I haven't killed enough people? And then proceeds to make me kill more. But again, you don't have to do all of this. You don't even have to do this as the Dark Urge. You can make your choices, and that's one thing that's great. I just wanted to because it feels right since I'm playing the Dark Urge. And Larian Studios has pretty much thought of everything when it comes to a certain encounter in the game. I have seen so many wacky things on TikTok and YouTube of people doing some of the weirdest shit with this game. And that's mostly just to get through somewhere that you're maybe not supposed to, but Larian is not going to stop you from using your wildest imagination in trying to solve the game's problems. But now let's talk a little bit more about the characters that you have in your party in this game, as that's one of the main reasons that I was actually convinced to play this game. I was just ready for one of these kind of classic games that had tons of dialogue options and you got to create your own little party and explore a world. I wasn't personally even really convinced by things like the combat or the world design, I was really convinced by just wanting to meet these characters that I was seeing on like TikTok. And the main party characters that you get in this game are some of the best I've met in a long time. They are all so well written, and I can't wait to see what pretty much happens in all of their stories. And my companions in Baldur's Gate 3 aren't really just a bunch of yes men, unless they're trying to suck my cock, because romancing is very easy in this game for most of the characters in your party. But just talking to characters in the world and doing quests for NPCs around that are very engaging and well voice acted was one of the main draws for me. And that's why I liked games like Mass Effect and The Witcher. Games that felt like you were actually in the world because the people you were talking to felt like they had real conversations and real dialogue that wasn't just really bland and kind of cringy like some other games. And Karlach has probably been my favorite through and through the entire experience. She is just so funny and I love talking to her. And I also love what she says when we're talking to other people. There's usually a funny, just quick one-liner, and I always enjoy them.
It smelled nice too, like outside.
Shadowheart has also been a pretty tough cookie to crack, but I really like her character as well, and I really want to know what happens. So I'm going to do everything I can to just continue her quests. And lae'zel has also been a pretty mainstay in my party, mostly for her combat abilities, but the more I get to know about her story, the more she slowly climbs up the ranks as one of my favorite characters. And she is the epitome of what I said earlier about not having too many yes men. But she pretty much almost never agrees with anything I am ever about to do, unless I'm killing someone that's not one of her people, or not dissing on her god queen. Astarion is a pretty good match for a Dark Urge playthrough, so he's been pretty good and I like to see where his story goes. But personally, when I have him as the thief, he's kind of only there to just shoot things with a bow and arrow from afar and open up chests. Otherwise, he's not quite as useful as some of the other party members. And I'm trying to help my boys Will and Gale out as much as I can. And for Will, I just really haven't had him in my party too much. I think he'd be a much better fit for a good-natured playthrough. And Gale, well, spoiler alert, I guess quickly, but and for Gale, well, he's a little incapacitated right now. Playthrough, so I can't wait to see what he has to offer in my second playthrough of the game, because I am definitely playing this game a second time as a good-natured dragonborn bard who just sings to solve all of his problems. And for all of you people who have started this game but are also watching this video, who've started like a new character and played through Act 1 like 6 different times, guys, you gotta move on. There's some excellent things in Act 2 and 3. But you need to move on with your life. Or lives, I should say. Anyways, enough talking. I can't talk anymore about this game. I just need to go back to playing some more Baldur's Gate 3, because I'm already thinking about new things that I want to do in the game when I get back into it. And I really have no idea when I'll actually complete Act 3, because I just want to do everything that I can. It could be like a year from now at this point. Anyways, thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video.